So the parts are the introduction, there's the task that we're going to do in week 2, there's the process, resources. So we're going to be doing the 3 task, process, and then there's evaluation. Thank you, Lucia. Conclusion, teacher page if you wish. And sometimes teachers like to have a student's page and a credit page for credits. So what is the task about? Those of you who did the task, can you kind of give us a word or two of what you think the task was, since you used the AI? And sometimes when we use AI, we kind of stop thinking. We shouldn't. We should continue thinking. But because everything is so easy, we kind of just copy paste. So let's try not to just copy paste information, but to actually see what's there. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat for any input. All right, so the task involves a goal or mission of the WebQuest. So what is the mission? What will students be required to do? And you can also state the roles of the team. For example, you're a teacher, you're a journalist, you're a parent, you're a sibling, depending on the level, you're a grandmother. You can decide what the roles of the team are. And then you connect the learners with the information. That's the idea, to give them a start. And you also connect them with the environment. So they'll be connected to their team, information they require, and the environment. Where will it take place? The idea is to get active learners who have some control over the process, if not all. Okay, so that's the idea behind the task. We want our students to be able to engage with the content, with each other, and with the instructor, of course. But the more they engage with one another, as you well know, the more, good they feel, because it feels good to create. It feels good to connect with others and not just with the instructor. So what makes the task effective? Well, if you're using the wizard, you still have to ensure that you're getting what you want. I mean, you can feed the AI wizard, WebQuest wizard, with information. But if you're not specific, you may not get what you want. So keep asking it to modify, keep giving it information so that you get exactly what you're looking for, or maybe something better. So don't feel that, once is enough. You may need to feed it a couple of times too. So what makes it effective? It's effective if it's meaningful. If the task, if what they have to do will excite students and be meaningful for them. So it might be meaningful for you as a teacher. You might think, well, this is a great topic and they're going to love this, but they may not. So find out if you can by maybe passing on a questionnaire or just asking them, give them a few topics and a few tasks and ask them, is this meaningful? Do you want this? And have options. It's really important to have options as well. And it has to be relevant to the group, age appropriate. Whether you're using the WebQuest for very young learners, and WebQuests have been used for even kindergarten, preschoolers. as well as for adult learners and, of course, seniors. It has to be clearly stated so that everybody understands what is required. And of course, teamwork. They will be working in teams. So you need to work on how to work on a team. Get them thinking about what would make the team effective. How will the team work? And you can have a journalistic idea. This works really well from my experience, where you get the editor and journalists, and they are out to get information, to interview, to take photos, and get information. So the idea of having a journal is a good one with reporters. And it has to be persuasive. Of course, you want real to life and something that's doable for the time that you have. One of you mentioned that you may not have enough time for students to go through a lot of reading. So don't give them a lot of reading. And if you're giving reading, make sure that they work on the reading in teams so no one feels that they're bombarded with information that they can't cope with. But it has to be challenging at the same time. You can't make it too easy, because if it's too easy, it's going to be boring. And if it's too hard, it's going to be frustrating. So you have to find something in the middle for things to work. So how do you design it? Well, you go to the WebQuest wizard and you design it, or you ask the AI tool, which is a ChatGPT tool, to help you out. So there it is. And by the way, ChatGPT 4.0 is completely free. If you don't believe me, check Wikipedia. It'll say that it's free. I think it's free in all countries right now. At the beginning, it was only free in some countries, but now it's available. So you can only see it in ChatGPT 4.0. You cannot access it on 3.5 or something else. But it's the free version. You do not have to pay. I created a LinkedIn group many years ago, and you're invited to join. The link is available, and you'll be able to do so when you get the presentation, which is in the course. And where you're going to put your WebQuest. Now, this question I asked in at the beginning, before we started. It was the pre-course question. And I think a few of you answered, you need to host your WebQuest somewhere. So where are you going to do it? Unless you want to do it on WhatsApp. You can actually do it on WhatsApp if you create a group for each section, for the introduction, for the task process, resources, evaluation, conclusion. You can do that. You can do it on Facebook if you create a group, but it's kind of complicated, but it's possible to do it there as well. Some others are Blogger. Blogger is a blog. It used to be owned by Google. I don't know who owns it now. There's WordPress.com. There's Google Docs. You can actually create it. And I have one on a Google Doc. It's very simple. There's a template there that you can try. And Google Slides. You can also do it on Google Slides, Google Sites, Moodle course. If you want to do it on a Moodle course, Canva, Book Creator, WordPress.org, which is different from WordPress.com, Weebly, which is a website, Wix. Now you can even do it with an AI tool called Gamma, I think. Gamma, is that what it's called? I think it's Gamma with 2 M's, which is also completely free. But any website. Now you have to be very careful that whatever you're using, like for example, if you, on Canvas in Structure, you can do it there as well. Zoonal is a link. It's a website where you can host your WebQuest, but I don't know how long it's going to be there. So be very careful because it may disappear. And links to websites disappear, most of them. And then there's Padlet. It's great on the Padlet. So you can do that. Padlet now has AI generated boards so that you can create a wall or a board using their AI tool. So that might be easier for you if you want to use Padlet. Padlet is free for 3 walls, but not for more. So it's up to you where you want to host it. By the way, you can also host it on a Word and Microsoft Word, not just a PowerPoint, but you can also do it on a PowerPoint presentation as well. And I think Microsoft has many tools nowadays where you can do this if you use Microsoft, which I don't. Any questions up to now before we go into another AI tool called Consensus and Semantic Scholar? Any questions up to here? I'm looking at the chat. I see you're very quiet. Let me know if there's a question. No questions. Did you try to join the course, Samane? Oh, great. So you applied, right? I will let you in as soon as this Zoom meeting is over. Okay? Yeah, I'll do that. You're very welcome. All right, so I don't see any questions. This is Consensus. This is what I used for the references. It's completely free on Chat GPT. It's also a GPT, but it's only available on ChatGPT 4.0. You need to go into Explore to find it, and you can get lots of articles on various topics that are current, and you can also get summaries of the articles. You'll be reading 1 article out of 3. You'll just need to choose in week 2 under task. So there's Consensus. These are, that's the wizard, WebQuest wizard. And this is one of the articles. Here's another one that you'll be, you can choose one, of course. There's another one. And there's the 3rd one that you can choose from. Okay, there's Semantic Scholar. So I see there aren't any questions, so we're going to go on to, that was the task. Any questions about the task for now, before we go on to the process? No questions about the task? What the task looks like? All right, we'll take a look at the task. And oh, I see there's a question. Okay, all clear. All right, Maria. All right, I'll be taking you through the task in a minute. Some of you have started, actually. Some of you have finished everything on the task. So let's take a look at the process. So the process section of a WebQuest is a very important part because that's where you get the instructions and guidance for the student. That's where you tell them step 1, step 2. That's what they will do. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's a very important part. It also has links to help them in the process, which are, as I said, instructions. Okay, that's the process. It's a roadmap, and you break it down into parts. This is really, really important. So when you're using the WebQuest wizard, make sure that you ask the wizard for step by step. If you're working with young learners or with seniors, you'll need the instructions to be very clear. So specify to the wizard the age group that you're aiming for. Now, the instructions are sequence of activities that you go through, timeline, which is very important to tell students how long they will have, the roles that they will be taking. They'll have to choose which role they want, and how to work effectively on a team. Very, very important. How to get organized. And you can share links later on how to do this, how to get organized. You can get ideas from, again, the WebQuest Wizard AI, which will help you. And of course, students will learn how to take notes and how to cite information, depending on their ages. Okay, again, age groups will determine. So what makes an effective process? I've already mentioned some ideas. To have a global view with details. So take a look at the whole picture and then scaffold and go into the steps, team and individual instructions, because students not only work as a team and have evaluation for them as a team, but they also work as individuals. And we have to remember that it's both team, but it's also individuals, and they'll be graded and treated as individuals, not just as teams. And the guidelines have to be clearly stated, easy to follow. And again, depending on the language, you can do this in various languages, by the way. It doesn't have to be in English. It could be in other languages. So it could be Italian. We've had Italian here. It could be Spanish. In Spanish, it could be in Polish. I don't know what other countries we've had here, but it could be in your native language if it's not English. Unless you're an English teacher, then of course you want it in English. So keep that in mind. You can ask for the WebQuest to be in other languages. Okay, that's also possible. But first do it in English and then do it in another language so that we at least see what it is. And how to a suggestion. Make suggestions for your students. Don't let them feel that they're alone. You're there for them. And of course, have lots of options so that you can cater to everyone. Now, this is an example of the process of a WebQuest on American Revolution. And you can see the process might include the following steps. Research the events leading up to the American Revolution. This step would involve using online resources. This is why you're telling your students about the political and economic and so on. Create a timeline of major events. Once students have gathered information about the key events of the American Revolution, they might be asked to create a timeline. Okay, so that's one kind. There's so many possibilities of, here's another continuation. Analyze the significance of the war, the American Revolution, or any other war if you're interested in history or in wars. Personally, I'm not. Create a presentation of your findings. So this is an example of the steps. And again, you'll be using the WebQuest Wizard, so you shouldn't have any problems. Okay, I'm going to go on to the third one. The third one is the resources. Okay, the resources. So let's go through it quickly. Now, with the resources, I think I skipped something here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I did. I jumped. All right. So make sure that you follow. And we're talking about the process. And now the resources. Okay, let's go on. Resources. So you can imagine the resources are links, but links to what? Resources in a WebQuest refer to the material. What resources will you use? You might use, I don't know if you're in kindergarten or preschoolers, you might use, crafts, painting and paper and I don't know, different things. So the material that you'll be using, will you be using a textbook? Will you be using only the internet? Will you be using tools like, I don't know, maybe it's a shop, a technological shop where they create different things, car building, I don't know what they're, and sources of information. So it's not only information, but it's also actual material. If you're working in a chemistry lab, okay, and it's about chemicals, so you'll be using different chemicals and tools. So the resources is everything that they will be using, and they can include, of course, websites, but be careful with the websites because some websites disappear. So give them options, lots of choices of websites that they can use, and maybe have them suggest some websites that they're familiar with, multimedia resources, audio, videos, books, as I mentioned, articles, or any other relevant material. That's the resource, or resources in this case. And be careful when you select. So how do we evaluate, for example, if a website, a link that you share is relevant or not? Okay, it's very important to check the site. Make sure that there aren't any advertisements on the site. That's annoying and not very professional looking. So make sure the site is completely free. They don't have to register or pay anything. They can just view the information, and make sure that the information is not from a site that wants to sell something. So it's really important. What is the goal of the site? And if you're using an article, make sure that the article is also current and accurate. Accuracy is very, very important. Accuracy of information is super important. And if you're asking the WebQuest Wizard AI to provide you with resources, make sure that you check the resources, that they're relevant, accurate, and make sure that there is little bias and that the perspective is neutral. You don't want the link or the site that you're sharing with your students to be biased in any way, or to have an agenda where they're trying to persuade or have any kind of political agenda or anything like that. So we really have to be careful. We don't want to share, and we can teach our students. I actually teach them how to choose a website as well. And reliability. Okay, can I trust the information? Who built the site? You know, is it a company, that's trying to sell something? You know, is the information, like, there are lots of information out there, by bloggers who write for websites, and the information is nonsense because they're trying to, they have a perspective, they're trying to sell something, they have an agenda. So be careful with the information, and teach your students about being careful with the internet and the information that's out there. So here are some examples of resources. Anatomy and physiology textbooks are generally okay, unless they're outdated. So be careful with that as well. Interactive anatomy tools, our body has not changed. So whatever is out there is okay. But you can also find 3D models of the human body. And there's also a Human Anatomy Atlas, and you can get the links to those. Medical research articles, but you also have to be careful with them as well to see who's writing the research article. Is it a company that's trying to sell their medical tools or medicine? Educational videos. Now make sure that the educational video is truly an educational video and there's no bias or perspective behind it. So whatever you find on YouTube, and there's lots there, you can ask the wizard to help you find appropriate, but give the wizard information. What are you looking for? What kind of YouTube video are you looking for? And is it related to what you're trying to do? You can also have online quizzes and interactive games. But again, make sure that there aren't any ads on these. I get very annoyed when anyone shares a website with me that has ads on it. It looks very unprofessional. And of course, again, there are also mobile apps, a lot of mobile apps. For example, if we're talking about anatomy, learning, or essential anatomy, but make sure that these apps, again, are not biased and don't have an agenda. So what are the problems? And there are problems and solutions. Well, sometimes the links are broken because they're outdated or they're no longer available. Be careful with those. Incorrect link. And sometimes there are problems if the link is on Facebook, as I mentioned before, and you're trying to get into a website from your smartphone, it will not work. But if you're on your desktop, it'll work in most cases. Now make sure that it's SSL or HTTPS and that it doesn't pose any danger. Sometimes you get a website and it says, don't open, it's dangerous. And the reason they say that is because either the link is incorrect. So make sure that you check the links before you share them with your students, or there's no SSL, which is a certificate attesting that the site is okay to be used and it's safe. Okay, there is such a thing as safe and unsafe websites. And the site is unclear. The images don't show, no audio clear. So sometimes if you don't see images and you see an X or something like that, you have to let your students know, and you have to know that you need to clear the cache of your browser and sometimes update your browser. So we need to know about these things so we can help our students as well. And accessibility, some students need help at whatever age. So you can download an AT bar and let them know about it. And the AT bar is a way for them to get accessibility in the font. And if they have dyslexia, they also have different colors. Now, as I said before, be careful with commercial sites. Don't use them. It's not fair. And again, lots of ads. Don't use them, even if you're tempted. And unreliable information. Use academic sites if possible. University sites are great, even though they sometimes have commercials as well. And follow copyright laws. This is a chance for us to teach students of all ages about copyright laws. And if you ask the wizard to write information about copyright laws to a toddler or to a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, it'll give you very, very simple information about copyright laws that you can use with your students. So the information can be broken down into very simple language, and any language. Images. Make sure that the images have Creative Commons if you're using Google search, and avoid plagiarism. I created a ChatGPT like the wizard to avoid plagiarism. If you're interested, it's here and you can use it. Notice my name on these plugins, as they're called, is Nellie with a Y. Okay, because that's my official name. I've been IE since high school, but I never made the change formally. And teach them how to cite, create references. Academic citations can be found on Google Scholar in any type that you want. And even cite multimedia, very important for students to learn to cite everything. These are some images that you can use for free. Now, if you're teaching K-12, anyone here teaching K-12, let me know in the chat. No, Lucia, you have to be careful with Wikipedia too. They're not all Creative Commons and usable. It'll say whether it is or not. So not everything. But if you go to Google, you'll be able to get Creative Commons. Yeah, it's a problem. If you're teaching K-12, anyone here K-12 grades, young learners up to the age of 18? Yay, okay, great. So with, okay, wonderful. So we've got a few K-12. All right, great. So with a K-12, you need to have safe resources, and you can find some of them, notice, for kindergarten, grades 1 to 8, and grades 9 to 12, and in French as well, since this is a Canadian site. It's called TVO Learn. Try it. Yeah, it's clickable. If you click on the slide, you'll be able to get the link. And these are some more. There's open, they're all Canadians. Sorry about that. British Columbia Open School BC, okay, for students, educators, and they have a lot of resources that you can use. I created a few WebQuests in my lifetime, and the one that's been very popular is The Giver. It's a book, a futuristic book for young learners and adults. The Giver, I think there was also a movie made by it a few years ago, The Giver by Lois Lowry. I called it The Perfect Society, and the resources are here. Some of the resources you can see about utopia because it's connected. And I got all this information from the wizard, the WebQuest wizard, just to show you. You can go through that later on. Okay, so there it is, the wizard. Once again. Okay, I'm going to go into, let's see if I can do that. I'm going to go into the wizard. Yep, okay, I got it. Okay, here I am in the wizard. Let me close that off. So this is what the wizard looks like for those of you that are curious. You don't see ChatGPT 4.0. It'll not say it here, okay? So once you go into it, you will see the wizard. There's the link. I'll add it to the chat so you can try it out. There we go. There's the wizard. You need to create an account and log in. That's all you have to do. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it. And this is where you can ask for the task. You have the introduction. You have to start with the introduction. But once you have the introduction, you can go on with the task, the process, and the resources. Going to go into the course where all the information is. Okay, that's our course. Let's go into AI generated. And I'm going in. No, I can't. Okay. Does everybody see that? Let me know in the chat if you see it. By the way, if you stay to the end and you've been sticking to it, we're almost done. You get a certificate at the end with the duration of 1 hour, 60 minutes. Okay, I see a comment here. Yes. Okay, great. All right. So I'm in as the teacher because the weeks, let me go to the beginning. Okay, the beginning is orientation. Okay, this is the orientation. You need to do a few activities here. And then notice you in the center here, okay, that's where you go from one area to another. Okay, so let me see how the annotation works today. Okay, color. All right, so if you go, oops, that was pretty bad. If you go into this over here, you'll get everything that's there. Clear. Okay, and you'll be able to follow this. Okay, you go into the orientation, which is black now, and then you go into about the WebQuest, where you can start thinking about, there's a question here, and these are the hosting areas for your WebQuest. There's also the template that I mentioned. Now, the template's really important. I created a template. You can create your WebQuest on a Google Doc, just like this. Very simple. Okay, you can add a table of contents. You can have your there we go. You can have these parts: introduction, task, process, evaluation, conclusion, credits, feature page. These can all be connected, and then you can add the introduction as you go. So it's really, really simple. And I don't think that Google is going to disappear in, in the next, I don't know, 10 years for sure, maybe 20 years, maybe longer. I think it's here to stay. So you're pretty safe with Google. But I'm sure Google will let you know if it decides to disappear before, so that you can move your WebQuest somewhere else. But I don't think that's going to happen. So notice this is an example of the perfect society. Okay, so what you need to do is you add the title of the WebQuest that you got from the wizard, the WebQuest wizard, the grade level. This is for other teachers to also learn from your work. Designed by your name and the layout. Now notice the introduction. Lois Lowry wrote a novel about community, okay, and so on. You have been assigned by the elders and so on. The task, the team will investigate, okay? These are the outcomes, okay? We'll investigate and uncover why this happened in the community. The team will collaborate, write their final report, and so on. So these are the tasks that the students will do. And then the process. Now notice with the process, which are guidelines and step-by-step instructions. By the way, the man who created the WebQuest is Bernie Dodge. He's still Professor Bernie Dodge. He's retired. He started it in 1996. And I'm trying to keep it alive. And notice here, number 4. In number 4, you may write your individual reports. And if I go into the individual reports, notice where it takes me. It takes me to another Google Doc. So here I go, another Google Doc with the information. So you can follow this. All of these are Google Docs. The final product is a collaborative writing report. So take a look at this. There's a lot of information here to give you an idea of what a WebQuest is like for a book. Okay, the rubrics, plan your presentation, and then make sure each member is ready to present. Now, generally, students present in class if it's a face-to-face class, and it's really a lot of fun. They get up there in front of the classroom in their teams of 4. I think 4 is a good number. And they're really excited, and then they present their work. Sometimes they do a play, and they can record the play. Or, you know, it's like TikTok these days. They do all kinds of fun things. They dance, they sing, you know, depending on their age. But it's really exciting for high school students because they get a chance to do a lot of fun, and of course, junior high, to do a lot of fun things. So that's an example of a template. Let me go back here. Okay, that's the template, and it's under About the WebQuest. Next are the meetings. The meetings, there's only one link to the Zoom meetings. It's here. And the recordings will appear. The recording of the first meeting is right here. And this recording will be available later on today. And then the introduction, if you haven't started, this is where you start. Introduce yourself, and then you start with the introduction, the topic of the WebQuest. And we are in week 2. In week 2, notice there's a video here for each of the 3, for the task, the process, and the resources. These are all week 2. Okay, and notice they're locked until you do the previous week, and then they'll open up. So if you finished the introduction, you'll be able to start with the task, because it's a building block. One is built on the other. You can't start the process before you have the introduction and the task. Okay, so do them like that. And there's the reading. You choose one reading, and then you answer the questions, and then you check your answers. The minute you answer the questions, this will open up and you'll be able to check your answers. There's a support forum. I hope you enjoy the reading. And then the process. This is also week 2. And here's a reminder that a WebQuest is made up of 6 main parts or blocks, and there's information on the process. And there's the presentation that I showed you today in each of these process of the WebQuest. This is where you submit. And then the resources, which are the links. Okay, and there is the presentation. I wanted to show you that the task of week 2 also has the presentation. So you can follow the presentations, the links are there, everything is there. And that's it this week. So I'm really excited to see your work. You're doing amazing work. Really wonderful to see the various topics, such exciting topics. And I'm sure your students will love the work, the project. I'm checking the chat to see. Please make sure in week 1, there's a question here by Minnie. Thank you for asking that. Make sure that in the introduction that you add here, you decide on a topic from a book, whatever topic you have. Once you have the topic, for example, my topic is The Giver by Loris Lowry, then you copy this, okay? You copy this like that, just copy it, go into your wizard, and let's go into the wizard, and then we're going to give me a topic. Minnie, for example, can you give me a topic? I forget what your topic is. A topic could be based, as I said, on a book, on an article, on anything that you're doing in the classroom that you'd like students involved in. So can you think of it? Just put a topic in the chat or put your topic. What is your topic? The topic? Okay, I'll give you a topic. My topic is AI in education. Okay. Or yeah, AI in education. Okay, that's my topic. I'm going to go into the wizard, and I'm going to, okay, my topic is AI in education. Please create an introduction using this format. Okay, so I paste the format and then hit the arrow, and then, okay, my topic is, and notice it gives me an introduction, and then it says you've been assigned by the Board of Educators, Board of Education, to investigate why a highly promising educational tool equipped with advanced, I guess like ChatGPT, began to receive backlash from students and educators alike. What made this sophisticated system once heralded as, you can ask for, make the language suitable for a 10-year-old. Okay, that's too complicated for a 10-year-old. You can also make it for, okay, imagine, oh no. Using the topic of AI in education. Okay, sometimes you have to remind the tool. Okay, imagine a world where computers and robots help you learn at school. The world seems perfect, just like the one in the book. Okay, what makes learning and computers and robots so amazing? How does it keep everything organized and under control? At first, it looks like we found the best way to learn with computers. Anyways, I'm going to copy this and paste it in the chat so you get an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so there it is. That's what I got. Oh no, it's got too many words. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go into, you're going to go into copy. Okay, copy it. Or you're going to go into, let me see if I could do that now. Go into share chat. Okay, I'll have to share the whole thing and create a link. Okay, it's copying. It's going to make the chat discoverable. You have to do that. And then copy the link. And then I will share it now in the chat and you will get all the information. Okay, I think that I made a mess with the chat. It's not going to let me paste anymore because I added too much information. Okay, let me add the link so you can take a look at it. Okay, so there's the link. Okay, now you can go into the link and you can get all the information, which is what you have to do as well. Okay, so that's an example of what you can do with the wizard. Okay, so many, if you've already added that, that's perfect. I'll just have to take a look at it. All right. So questions? Any questions or comments before I let you go? Looking at the chat. Any questions? No questions. All right, you're good to go. All right, so, oh, I see a question. Let me get that question here. Do we still have time for task? Yes, of course you have time. Yes, you do. It shouldn't take you long. I think the orientation and week 1 is not that difficult. It shouldn't take you long. I think 10, 15 minutes would be enough. Yes, but once you finish it, we'll wait till the end, to week 4, okay, Fauzi? And then you'll be able to let me know. All right, if you joined late, that's fine. It's not too late. And you can tell your friends they have until tomorrow to register. After tomorrow, nobody will be able to register. 6 blocks separately, right? Yes, exactly. 6 of them, they're all separate. Okay, so thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend and a wonderful week.